Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working show. We have got a really good show coming up today. We've got a whole lot of stuff to talk about, some really big needle moving stuff that we're going to talk about. Heather is going to be talking about those voices in your head, those not the voices that tell you really crazy things, but the voices in your head that we all have that are telling you actually really crazy things, which are things like, oh, you can't do that. That you're not good enough for that. You shouldn't do that. You'll never be successful. Those kinds of things. Heather's going to talk about how to deal with those voices, how to shut them up, and how to get on with creating your successful business. I'm going to talk a little bit about taking action. You know, we've talked about this a lot on the show. Taking action is the most important way to quit your job and start a business. It's actually doing it, actually putting one foot in front of the other and making it happen. And that is really tough for a lot of people. We're going to talk about some ways to make that happen and some ways to get over that weird tendency that we seem to have as humans to just wait and wait and wait and wait. And let's quit doing that. We're going to talk about how to do all of that on the show today. Before we get into all of that great stuff, I want to remind you that we have open registration now for the Shift program. Now, on Monday's episode of the show, Heather and I talked extensively about Shift and what is involved and what you get when you join Shift. It's a private mastermind community that gives you access to Heather and I to answer your questions, provide inspiration, motivation, support, put you in contact with people that might be able to help you, as well as having a community of your peers, a community of people who are just like you, who want the same things that you want, and who want to support you, who want to positively encourage you, because I know that most of you don't have that. You don't have a group of people out there who are your champions, who want to see you succeed, who want you to be successful, and who want to support you on your How to Quit Working journey. We provided that in the Shift program. We also provide a book every single month. We're going to send you a book in the mail, and you are going to get to read that, and then we are going to discuss it and the lessons that come from it for starting a business. And we've chosen the books that we've chosen because they are books that make people successful in business. There is a handful of books, and you will find out what that handful of books is. We've actually announced the first one. The first month is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We're going to be talking about your thoughts and your mindset and how to get into a place that makes you successful. Now, here's the thing that makes me so excited about this program. When you talk to people and you ask them why they're successful, and I have asked that of a lot of people, a lot of really successful people like Debbie Travis of The Painted House, people like Dan Pena, people like John Shear of The Video Professor, people who've made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And what they all say over and over and over and over again is, it's how I think. It is all in how I have trained myself to think, and that is what that book is all about. So you don't want to miss the first one. Now, you have to register by the end of January in order to get into the first month of Shift, which begins on February 1st. So you've got to register by then. I mean, you know, when you think about all the things that you could do, you can go out there and you can get training and you can get this and you can get that. But if you have a community of people who you are working with to put the right things in your head and get yourself to thinking the right way and thinking the way successful people think, and putting that at the forefront of your mind and really beginning to act and behave in that way, there's just nothing else that is going to give you more results than that. It is an amazing program. It is the thing we've put together, I think, that I am most excited about. And, you know, it's $297 every quarter. And I just think it's a hell of a value when you think about it, what we've created and what we put together for that. And to have that constant support you cannot put a price on that. And really, you know, we're asking you essentially for like $100 a month. That's payable by quarter. But when you think about $100 a month, what is $100 a month? What do you do with $100 in a month? I mean, that's like maybe 2 tanks of gas. That is like maybe a couple of meals out. I think for a lot of us, that's our cable. I mean, I would highly encourage you, cancel your damn. I mean, if you're serious, if you're really serious about this, call up your damn cable company, shut the cable off, and join the program. And in most cases, it will be a no net difference, and you'll move towards your goal. And, just a couple things that I'd say on that is, if you have to have that little bit of fix of television, get Netflix or Hulu or something like that for that little fix. And the thing about those on-demand services that I actually like is that they get you away from that whole just like parking it in front of the TV and then just letting whatever crap comes on roll in front of you. I think it's much more healthy. Now, it would be great if you didn't need those at all, but if you're really serious, do that. I mean, what a great no cost way to take one thing out of your life that isn't doing a damn thing for you and put something else into your life that is going to make a huge difference in taking you from where you are to where you want to go. I mean, I sit here, I haven't had a television in my house for, I think it's probably going on 4 years now, and it's the most amazing thing that I've ever done. And I'm telling you, this is something that everybody should do. I mean, you should regardless of whether you join Shift or not, you should get rid of the television in the house. There's just no reason for it. And because what happens with television, and the problem with television is that we all have dreams and hopes, and we all have things that we want out of life. Well, the reason that we watch so damn much television is because we're living those out through other people. And what I'm saying you can do here is you can get rid of the cable and join Shift for essentially what's probably going to be a wash financially, and actually start living your dreams instead of living somebody else's dreams. So, I feel very strongly about that topic, and I feel strongly about the value that Shift will bring to your life, and the amount that this could propel you forward. And I want to talk about some of the things that I'll talk about some of the benefits of Shift as I talk about this whole idea of taking action today that I'm going to cover before we jump into Heather's thoughts, or Heather's segment about controlling the thoughts and that little voice in your head. But when it comes to taking action, we've got to get over this idea of waiting. You've got to get over this idea of well, I got to wait for this. I got to wait until this is in place. I got to wait until that is in place. I can't start approaching clients until I have a website. That's my favorite one. Everybody thinks that they need a website in order to approach clients. Well, now don't get me wrong. I mean, a website's a good thing to have, certainly, and you probably should be pursuing getting one if you don't have one, but it's not something that should stop you from pursuing clients, right? Like if you have somebody who you've met at a networking event and you've told them a little bit about what you do and they're interested, don't play this game of, oh, well, he gave me his card and I said I was going to call him, but I'm going to wait till I get the website up before I do that. And I understand that. I still do that at times, but it doesn't serve you, right? You've got to be able to just take that action, and take that action when things are not necessarily in place. Because what we end up doing is don't get me wrong. I mean, certainly there are times when things actually need to be in place before you do something, but you've got to question all of these things, right? Like if this person has questions about your product or service, well, they could just ask you. That's why you're having a conversation, so you can just talk about it, right? There's no better way to do business with someone than to have a conversation with them. So, but we get so caught up in this. I need to have this. I need to have that. This needs to be perfect. We need to do all this stuff first before. And what happens is we end up using it, whether you consciously believe it or not. We end up using it as an excuse, right? It's really, I don't want to make this call because I'm afraid this person's going to say no, or they're going to be mad, or they're not going to want what I've got, or maybe the conversation's going to be awkward because they're not going to remember who I am. All these really ridiculous things that go through our head, and some of them might be true, and they're all perfectly fine. Doesn't matter if any of them happen. It will not affect you one bit. If they say no, no problem. You just shrug it off and you go on to the next one. But what happens is we have all these little fears that we build up in our head, and we start using these things, I have to do this first. I have to do that first. I got to get this ready. I got to turn this on. I got to put this in place. All these things that we think we have to do, we end up using them as excuses. Now, we don't, this is the problem, and this is what makes it so tricky. In our conscious mind, we don't realize that they're just excuses. Our conscious mind tells us that there's a reason, right? Because our subconscious, and we got to, it totally changes your life when you realize that what is going on consciously in your head is really only about like 20% of what's actually going on. I don't know what the actual percent is, but I think it's something like that. There's probably some studies to that effect. But a small amount of what's going on in your head is conscious, and that's what you know. I know I'm thinking this right now. I know this is the reason why I'm doing this. This is the reason why I'm not doing that. That's conscious stuff. What's happening, what is much more of what's going on in your head is the subconscious thoughts. Now, Heather's going to talk a little bit about that and how to control some of that stuff as well. But those subconscious thoughts are the really dangerous ones because you don't know what they are. You don't know how to deal with them because you don't know what's going on. Right? Your conscious mind is saying, I need to wait. I need to wait because this has to be there and that has to be there. Your subconscious mind is really saying, I'm afraid. I don't want to do this. It's too much work. They might say no, and on and on and on. And that's what's really driving your decision making. But you're just using this crap in your conscious mind to justify why you're not taking that action. So the great thing about being part of a community like Shift is that when you make a statement like, oh, I need to wait for this or I need to wait for that, there's going to be people out there that are going to say, no, you don't. That's bullshit. You need to just do it. Just do the thing that you know you need to do. And because we're not stuck when somebody on the outside, right? You're one of your peers or a coach or someone like that isn't stuck in all of that mental garbage. They're just looking at the facts and they're saying, no, there's no reason why you should wait. You should just pick up the phone and make this darn phone call or send that email or whatever that thing might be. So that's one of the really valuable things about having a group like Shift to be involved with is you get that push and you get that motivation. I want to give an example of a conversation that I had via text message with a friend of mine today. He was talking about this business opportunity, and he tells me about this situation, and I responded back and I said, you need to make this guy an offer. You need to make this guy an offer for how you could get involved with this business. Because it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely something that makes a lot of sense for you, makes a lot of sense for him. Just make the offer. And he's like, well, first I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to do this. And I said, bullshit. You don't need to do any of that. You need to just make the offer, right? And an offer is just an initial conversation between two people. Hey, how does this sound? What do you think about that? You know, that's what needed to happen. He was like, yeah, you're right. That's really what I need to do. And that was the value that I was able to bring to that situation for him, was to say, no, it's not about I need to get this ready, I need to do that. And when you've got the right people around you, that's what they'll tell you. Now, here's what the wrong people will tell you. The wrong people will tell you, oh yeah, you better wait, and you better get this done, and you better get that done, and you better get this done. Oh, and I hope you got all of your legal ducks in a row, because you have to have 10 lawyers standing behind you when you start the simplest business, right? Like Mr. Burns on The Simpsons. And the wrong people, the people who are not entrepreneurs and don't really understand how it works, yeah, they think you got to get a lot of stuff ready. That's one of the really huge misconceptions about entrepreneurship that is from the outside, is the people on the outside really truly think that starting a business is about crawling inside of a cave and then spending months or years or however, maybe decades, getting everything perfect and then stepping out of the cave and then announcing your wonderful, beautiful, perfect business. And I'm here to tell you, it never, ever works that way. The way it works and the way it is successful is when you say, hey, I got to just get going. I got to just do something. I got to call somebody. I got to talk about it. I got to buy this thing. I got to join this group. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to make this sales call. I got to go to this networking thing. I got to do whatever I got to do to just go out there and get some momentum and get some feedback. And you know what? There's a really good chance that whatever you're doing might not work, right? But if it's just a phone call, if it's just an email, it doesn't matter, right? I called this person up and they were like, no, I'm not interested. I don't even want to talk to you. Go away. And then you hang up the phone and you're no better or worse off. And in fact, you probably, because they probably didn't say it like that, they probably weren't mean like that. Sometimes they are, but usually they're not. And you probably got some really good feedback about why they weren't interested. And then maybe you can incorporate that and make the business better. But you can't listen to, I call it cheap feedback. It's this, and I don't even know how to put words to it, but I can smell it but it's this rhetoric that the sort of the normal people have, the non-entrepreneurs have about starting a business. And one of the biggest pieces of that, as I said, is that this whole, you got to get everything ready and everything has to be wonderful and perfect before you unveil it in its perfection and awesomeness to the entire world. And it just never works that way. And what that ends up doing is putting you in a situation where you just wait and wait and wait and wait, and you seek this thing that you never get to. The only way to make progress is to do stuff, And that is why we put the accountability piece into the Shift program. And this is one of the pieces that, when just like I just said, when you launch something, you got to talk to a lot of people, and you've got to get a lot of feedback from a lot of different people. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What would be good for this? What would be good for that? What do you think would work? What do you think wouldn't work? And what do you want? What do you not want? And so, and the piece that we got the most feedback on, the most positive feedback on, was the accountability piece. And in fact, I had a discussion with somebody about the Shift program, and this was really early on when we were planning. And I said, so we're thinking about offering this and this and this and this, and then the accountability piece and this and this and this. What do you think about that? And his response was, I forgot everything you said before and after accountability, because that's the piece that I need really, really badly. That is so important for me. So it's really important to have that accountability, and well, it's really important to get feedback. And like I'm saying, the feedback that we've gotten from folks is that the accountability piece is really important. And what we're doing is we're just putting together a simple Google Doc spreadsheet that members of Shift will be able to put in to that. Hey, this is what I want to get done in the next week, in the next day, in the next month, whatever the time frame is that's appropriate for you. I think we would challenge you if it was something like 3 months or something, because we would want you to have some more immediate term goals. But whatever time frame it is that you're looking to get something done in, so that as a community we can call you to the carpet and say, hey, it's February 27th, and you said you'd have this done. Is it done? Why don't you show it to us, or why don't you tell us why it's not done? And then you can have the right people there to give you the right feedback, which is, and you might say, well, I felt like I needed to do this first. And then we would say, no, you need to just do it. You need to just make this thing happen, because it's the only way that you're going to move your business forward, is to just do things, take action, take action, take action, take action. And that's why the accountability piece of the Shift program is so, so valuable. You're going to get the right feedback from the right people who get it. I mean, just be around a group of people who get it. That's all there is to it. All right, now I want to jump into the segment with Heather. So Heather Osgood, our How to Quit Working coach, and my partner in the Shift program as well, is going to talk about those little voices in your head and how to make them shut up. So take it away, Heather. Great advice from Heather as always. And, I love the example she gave of the Stuart Smalley, the old Saturday Night Live character. I think it was played by Phil Hartman, who said, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you. So let's end it on that note by saying and reinforcing that you are good enough, you are smart enough, and yes, people do like you, and some people may not like you, and that's okay. That's a really important thing to add on to that. Yeah, some people might not like you, and that is totally totally cool. A lot of people don't like my approach to quitting your job and starting a business. A lot of people say all kinds of crazy stuff about it. And one of the things that is really freeing and really liberating is to not care anymore about what people think and focus on the people who do like what you have to say. Now, if you thought any of that stuff that we talked about here was good stuff, if you thought it was helpful, if you thought it was inspiring, then the Shift program is for you. All this stuff that we've talked about, all this stuff that we talk about on the show is all stuff that we have built Shift to make sure that you have everything that you need, to make sure that you have it covered through a community on LinkedIn that you can be involved with regularly, through the regular inspirational videos, through the monthly book that we send to you and the learnings that come along with that, through the regular Google Hangouts where you'll be able to get on to the Google Hangout and you'll be able to chat with people who want the same things and are ready and there to support you and encourage you, and most of all, the accountability, so that when you have something that you have asked to be accountable for, and you say, I didn't do that because I got to thinking that I wasn't good enough, you can have some real voices, some voices outside of your head that will say, yes, you are good enough and you can do this and you better do it. Otherwise, you're going to have to answer to us. So go over to howtoquitworking.com/shift and join the Shift program. I cannot wait to see you in there. It is going to be so cool. It's going to be so much fun. I love interacting with people in this community because gosh, you're just a cool bunch of people. You really are. You know, one of the things that I was speaking about with a colleague the other day is, we talked about, sometimes in a business you get assholes, right? You get people who are just jerks. They're mean. They make mean comments. They send you mean emails. They make mean comments on your videos and things like that. And, we just don't have that in the How to Quit Working community. And that's one of the things that I just love. Now, certainly there's the occasional jerk that comes through, but, relative to other platforms of this size, we just don't see that. And it's really wonderful that we've created something that is such a great group. And, one of the things that, to get a little bit sappy and hokey for a second, really touched me a couple of weeks ago is when a member of our Facebook community started referring it to this as the How to Quit Working family. And I was like, wow, it really took me aback because I was like, wow, but it's so true. That's what this is. This really is a family. It's a family of people who want the same things and have the same values and just want to help and support each other. And what Heather told me we have to do when she got involved with How to Quit Working is she said, Jeff, we've got to pull these folks in closer. We've got to do more. We've got to provide more. We have to be able to give folks more value and give folks more support, encouragement, and accountability, all the things that they need to quit their jobs and start a business, because that's our vision for the world, is that everybody does that and everybody gets to live an amazing life doing exactly what they love because they have quit working and started a business. Go over to howtoquitworking.com/shift. Check out the Shift program. Join the Shift program. I will see you on the inside, and I will also see you on the next episode of the How to Quit Working Show.